we've seen a release go out from the club this morning, Alistair's return to coaching plan. So just to flesh that out a bit, he's been involved over the last couple of weeks in numerous areas, integrating back into the program. He's spent some time looking at the under-18 championships, as well as looking at some AFL games and looking at trends of the games and a couple of little projects that we've had him do from where the game's at and how we're tracking, which has kept him engaged and easing him back into the program. He's come in to see the coaches over a couple of weeks, on a couple of nights, just to have a chat about where the game is and how we're going. So that's been great. This week is pretty much the same. He's come in today to meet the players. Later in the week, I think on Thursday, we'll meet the rest of the whole of club staff, just to fill them in on how he's been going and where he's at now. But he's in a good place. Next week he'll be in full time and just shadowing really the full program for the full week, just to see how things are going. We've made some slight changes in that period of time he's been away, but nothing major, so we'll just get a good look at that. And then he won't come to the West for the West Coast Eagles game. We'll continue to work on a couple of these projects. And then the Monday leading into the Melbourne game, we'll be fully immersed in taking over the full program, and Rats will go into the similar role that he had before Clarko stepped down. So that's the program. We're really comfortable with that, where that's at. It's given the best opportunity to integrate back in without being thrown in the deep end and creating a big change. We didn't want to have that situation where all of a sudden he's come in, no one's seen him for 10 weeks and then he's coaching. So it's been a gradual transition that we're really pleased with how that's going to unfold. Rat's done an amazing job in this period of time, and we've kept the program going. I know results in the last couple of weeks would have liked to have been a little bit stronger, but remarkably the environment's been really positive, and Rats and the whole football department and club have done an amazing job in keeping the ship sailing in rough, stormy waters. But we're really happy that Clarko's coming back, and Rats has done an amazing job to this point. So there might be a few questions on the back of all that, but.
What change have you noticed in Clarko since before he took the break as to where he's at now?
Well, his eyes are back in his head. He looks a much more relaxed person. It's obviously really testing time, but he does look refreshed. The energy is back. It's like the old Clarko, but no, it's a different person.
Can you sense a real level of optimism from his end to get this club back onto the track that he thinks, like he spoke yesterday about wanting to make the club relevant again and off the canvas? Can you sense a real sense of hunger in Alistair?
No, absolutely. As I said, it's the old Alistair that we've known for a long period of time. He's very positive, got a lot of energy. As I said, these little projects where he's been out looking at the game, he's got some ideas, and he's keen to come back. And we can't throw all of it at the players, but we'd like to drip feed. There's still stuff to play for. We want to finish the year strongly, play right to the line, so there might be some stuff we can just slowly introduce that will set us up for next year. But his energy's up. He's looking good.
He said yesterday that he might not coach again this season. So how did you arrive at this decision for him to?
Yeah, I think he was just a little bit gun shy. We've had this not in ink but in pencil for a period of time. I think he was just mindful of coming into the environment for the first time and didn't want to be seen to be bulldozing his way through. I think maybe the full context of that statement wasn't reported or played out, but it's always been in pencil that this is the program. We caught up last night with the key stakeholders in this decision. So about 6:30 last night we put it in pen, and here we are.
Just in terms of the special projects, people used to say if Clarko had the pre-finals week off, he'd be a dangerous proposition. Now he's had 10 weeks off. What's that been like, and sort of can we expect some different trends and different ideas coming out of that special projects you've coined it?
Yeah, look, I think he's always been a really innovative coach. I think that's been a strength of his. He has changed the game in certain aspects. I think it's just given him a good time. I mean, certainly not for the full 10 weeks. The first part of it, he didn't want to look at footy. He needed to get himself in a really good space. So for the first 4 or so weeks, there was no footy, there was no watching the Kangaroos. But as the time has gone past and he's got back into it, and now he's got some he's got some ideas and really some time to look at the competition from afar without all the stresses of the day-to-day stuff that Rats has been taking care of. So I think that's been a really good opportunity for him to get a good look at the game.
Was there ever a time you didn't think he might come back, or you're always pretty confident that just has a rest and you're off to go again?
Yeah, no, I think from early days I was always confident he would come back, although he wasn't in a great place. So I wasn't 100% of that, but I just know the person he is and the spirit that he has, and he just needed to take time away to put everything in perspective. But I had a gut feeling that he was always coming back, but it was a big important time in his life to try and get right.
That investigation, obviously the AFL's investigation into the racism at Hawthorn's over, but there's a chance that that goes to the High Commission, potentially the federal court. Is there a chance that down the track we see Clarko take another break? No,
that's part of his consideration coming back. He's got a really good feeling of where that is situated, and he's confident that won't impact his role as the coach moving forward.
Do you think you'll coach differently, Todd, given the experience of the last 12 months?
Well, I think you keep continuing to grow as a person. This, no doubt, would have an impact on him. So it would have taken some time to look at pros and cons of where it's been, and he'll be a better coach for the experience of being away and having some time to reflect.
Sorry, do you have an update on where that situation is with the High Commission?
No,
for him to feel better about it?
No, I don't. But obviously, his considerations are coming back. He wanted to have a feel of where that was at, and he's comfortable to come back and feels confident that it's going to impact his coaching with the Kangaroos.
You say you feel the general vibe and feeling around the club is still pretty good despite the losses, I suppose the turbulence. How and why is that?
Well, I think we've spent a lot of time trying to create the right environment, the right culture. We've been upfront and honest with our players. This is going to be a journey. No one was expecting miracles from day one. It doesn't matter whether it's Alistair Clarkson, Paul Roos, or Dennis Pagan, or Mick Malthouse. There's challenges, a lot of things we had to get right. And we start with our environment and our culture and creating that place where people want to come to work, and we think we've done that really, really well. So the positivity stays. We celebrate the small wins, and we're not getting the 4 points in the wins, but we feel like there's stuff that we're doing that's a lot better than where we started from. Having said that, we are not happy with only 2 wins, but we understand that it's a tough competition and we've got to get things in place before the wins start ticking over, and we've got work to do.
Todd, how much has Clarko got his feet under the desk in terms of list management? And you spoke about, we've seen him with the under-18 champs. Has he been annoying Scotty Clayton and Brady and the crew in that part?
Yeah, no, he's spent time with those guys over the last few weeks and seen some national games. I'm sure that experience that he's got and the understanding of how he wants the game to play and look will help Brady and his team narrow down some targets and be clear on what we're after.
We'll leave it there.
And one more question, just on another issue, Todd, you're in the Melbourne rooms last week and there's a few external concerns about that. Obviously, you're there for your son. Would you have any issues with a football department person from another club being in North Melbourne's rooms?
No, I haven't heard any of those external concerns, but being there as a father, I think we would support fathers being part of their sons' careers, and if we had someone that wanted to come and be in the rooms after a game and see someone ice and leg, I don't think that's given away too many trade secrets.
Thanks. Brett, 2 games left in the hot seat. How are you feeling about it all?
It's been enjoyable. I knew, through this period, I didn't know when, but Clarko was coming back, so I knew it was going to come to an end, and now I know it's a couple of weeks away. So, as I said, I didn't get last time the chance to maybe say goodbye, and this is a good opportunity to just enjoy the last couple of weeks. And it's not just the game day; it's the build up and the relationships that you build, deeper relationships you build with players as well. So that's been really enjoyable.
And Clarko, how have you seen him since he's been reintegrated back into the club?
Yeah, we've had a few catch-ups around, some things that we're trying to implement and have a look at and things like that. So, that's been for a few weeks now. So there's been some catch-ups, which has been great, and get everybody on the same page with that line coaches as well.
You mentioned you didn't get the chance to say goodbye last time. Obviously, I think the whole footy world has admired how you've handled the last 12 months or so. Is this weekend going to be a bit more personal for you against the Saints?
Not really. When you look at the two teams, it's another game. But you just look at St Kilda. They're 6. They're finals bound. And we're 17. So we've got our work cut out. And they're a list that has been pretty strong. And their expectations have always been playing finals. And they've added to their list with Filippo and that this year through the draft. So they've got even stronger. So we've got our work cut out. They're finals bound and they're sitting in 6. So it's a huge challenge for us. And the way we played on the weekend, regardless if it's St Kilda or not, wasn't up to standard.
Do you think they've changed much since you left? And if so, in what ways?
They've got a new coach. It's a big change.
That's the way they play.
Yeah, they've changed the way they play. They've changed the way they play. So, and that's just analysing any team. There's always teams that start, even at the start of the year, will change their style slightly and tinker with things, and they've done that a little bit as well. So, yeah.
Did you look at the fixture though, Rats, and think, oh, this will be interesting coming up against the Saints?
I didn't realise until I was on 360 with Robbo that we're playing the Saints actually. And Pete. I knew, but it is what it is. It's sport. It's the game. It's the combative nature that we have, and whether it's last week Hawthorn, this week St Kilda, we just know that where they sit and that their expectations has always been play finals, and they should with that list. So that'll be the interesting part: is can we match it with a team that's finals bound?
Right. Nick Rowell said on radio yesterday that the standards at St Kilda prior to this year, with Lyon coming back with subpar, is it disappointing for you as a former coach to hear those comments from a club champion?
Well, to be honest, Nick's been to 0 really at the footy club. The only time he came was for free physio. So, that's the only time he was at the club. So I don't know where he saw the standards piece, and what can happen at footy clubs and in life is second-hand information can be whoever holds it can be distributed the way they want. So that's the interesting part of that. That's his opinion. I can't change that.
When you've had a chat to Clarko, Rats, what have you said to him where this group needs to improve, and what's his feedback been for you just in the last couple of weeks?
I won't give that away, Pete, because that's it's work in progress. I think Todd nailed it. Sometimes when you come in, how do you fix everything? And if you projected where we'd be, you'd probably have a few more wins under our belt. But when you look at what's happening in the 4 walls and Monday to Friday, you say, geez, there's been some shifts. The environment, the feedback from players and being more open to give feedback to each other. The leadership meetings are growing to, look at, high performing teams and in that approach. So from that point of view, I can see some huge growth. We just haven't got the benefit. And this week, we won't have Zuha and a few, Jais won't play this week either. So we'll have a few out, but that's the challenge for us. We probably need our better players out there to perform at the level that we're after. But with adversity in that, you get to play the kids. And you get to keep playing and putting time into them to see where they can go to, and that's the enjoyable part. To be a part of Cooper Harvey's first game and watch Sheasel develop. It's a shame Wardlord's done his hamstring, but just to see some of those kids come in, and Will Phillips will be very close to play this week as well. So he comes back. He's had a couple at VFL level, played really well against Geelong at VFL level, and was pretty good again on the weekend. So we get to see some of our kids play.
How have you gone about reviewing what was obviously a very disappointing performance?
Well, it's a bit of a challenging one because, we all sat down and watched the first quarter and went through and saw what happened. And then the players actually analysed it and with a different line coach. So we just, we didn't really have to look at the technical aspect of it. It was just looking how the game went. So from that point of view, it was really good to them to bring in. They marked out where some of the clips they wanted to watch with the group. 2 or 3 clips from each meeting came in, we all watched together, and they're actually coaching themselves. Now, the part that we want is, can they do it in-game? Not wait till the Tuesday morning and we go through and watch it on tape. Can they address that on-game? So that was the hard bit. And it's hard to get a read. We played Adelaide. No teams won after the bye, really, and Adelaide. We played Geelong and thought, geez, that was poor. And it was poor. But Essendon did the same thing in good form the week later, and this one's a little bit out of turn. It's sort of one of those ones of, did we just lose our spark or our energy? We weren't up for the fight, really, and we have been in a lot of games.
say Jai wasn't going to play this week?
No, he won't.
What was the injury, sorry?
Concussion from 2 weeks ago. Yep.
Just on that, the centre clearances have been kind of
Yeah.
the last few weeks a real problem.
Yeah, they have.
What do you put it down to?
Well, it's interesting that you sort of look at it, and when you go through 5 centre clearances, you can have 5 different ways of losing it. But the bit is when we've had our hands on the footy, we haven't maximised the clearance and fumbled or coughed it up or not cleared the ball. Where when the opposition have got it, they've been able to exit the clearance. And the same on the weekend, it was 0-4, and by the end of the game we lose by 5, and it's really done in that first quarter. So it is a bit of a worry, and we need to address it, because what's happening is the game is starting in their end, and then it's hard to get the ball out, and we've struggled with that a little bit.
Do you think Todd Goldstein can help in that department?
Yeah, maybe. That's part of the chat today around match committee and which way we go. Do we go both? Do we just go one again? Do we do it a bit different? Because Coleman Jones will be out as well.
Just on the Saints, you were close with a lot of the guys there. Have you traded any messages or heard from any of the players this week?
No. I think that's a bit about when you've had your time there. I've formed some fantastic relationships with the players and that, and Timmy Memory had a baby, so I just flicked him a message a while ago, and just when there's some special things in their life, you might reach out. But I think that relationship's gone, and now that coach-player relationship's now with Ross, and I think for me, I don't think it's appropriate really. You sort of just stay at arm's length and don't really hop into their lives too much. And if you see them, it's great and catch up. But I think that's his time with them. I had my time, but I've still got great relationships with Eddie Betts that I get a message from here and there, and we still flick a message, and that was from the Carlton days, even when he went to Adelaide. So you form some really good friendships, but I think there's a point where you sort of got to say, it was coach, player, I really respect you, we can catch up, but I don't think you continue it too much.
Just on your Rats, you're sort of a part-time assistant at the start of the year. Having had this experience at the top, you're looking for more of a full-time role next season?
We'll just wait and see with all that. That'll be the questions and how it all pans out, I reckon.
Do you use this occasion, how important it is, I guess, for you playing against your older side, to motivate the players, to do it for Rats, if you will?
Oh, no. I think they do it for themselves. It's not do it for me. Like, we've lost a number of games in a row, and if you can't get motivation week after week to try and win a game of footy, I don't think we need to do it for anybody. And let's not do it for me. Let's do it for themselves, and really, let's do it for our supporters. And that's really the way we finish this season, whether it's St Kilda, West Coast, the Melbourne, and Clarko comes back. We've got to put a performance on that our supporters are proud and happy with, and the way we go about it. And that's win, lose or draw. It's just the way you go about footy sometimes. And for us, we want to get that win, but we want to address what happened last week, and it's really poor.
Just from a broader perspective, coaching a team where you're not holding the reins going forward, like how difficult has it been, Brett, to just sit in the chair for someone else?
It's I suppose with everything it has its challenges. Even as a coach, you have your challenges. It's just different challenges. I think how it works. I think the support that I've had from Todd, Cam Matthews, Jen, Sonia, the footy club has been outstanding, and given me a lot of support to do the role. And so I'm very grateful for that, because it has been fun, even though we haven't won. We've found out a couple of ways to lose. It was pretty interesting, which I get to tick a box off that I've done now as a coach. But from that point of view, it's been enjoyable, and I think it's been enjoyable because of the people around you, and that's what footy clubs are. It's the people that make the footy club and the support you get. It's not one person but it's a collective group, and I've been very fortunate to work with Todd and Cam and Jen and Sonia and the board to help me, and I'm very appreciative of that.
There's a job going at the Gold Coast at the moment. Do you put your hand up?
No. I put my hand up to go for a holiday if they want to interview me. I'll bring my family, and we'll have 10 days, and can I pick the venue? We'll go to Sheraton or somewhere, and then we'll catch up for a half an hour coffee or something. I'm not going up there.
Can't believe that.
Thank you. Thank you.